marker in a man's clear gold print was the address of our apartment and the words, return to sender. Suddenly, I understood what Poseidon had told me on Olympus. A package, a decision. Whatever else you do, know that you are mine. You are a true son of the sea god. Pause for just a second. What aha moment did he just have about what the decision was that he... What is in the box? Turn and tell your neighbor what's in the box. Do you remember what's in the box? Okay. We are tigers. Oh, that was terrible. We are tigers. Let's see if you're right. Keep going. I looked at my mother. Mom, do you want Gabe gone? Percy, it isn't that simple. Mom, just tell me. That jerk has been hitting you. Do you want him gone or not? She hesitated and nodded almost imperceptibly. Yes, Percy, I do. And I'm trying to get up my courage to tell him, but you can't do this for me. You can't solve my problems. I looked at the box. I could solve her problem. I wanted to slice that package open, plop it on the poker table, and take out what was inside. I could start my very own statue garden right here in the living room. Yeah? That's what a Greek hero would do in the stories, I thought. That's what Gabe deserves. But a hero's story always ends in tragedy. Poseidon had told me that. I remembered the underworld. I thought about Gabe's spirit drifting forever in the fields of asphodel, or condemned to some hideous torture behind the barbed wire of the fields of punishment, an eternal poker game, sitting up to his waist in boiling oil listening to opera music. Did I have the right to send someone there, even Gabe? A month ago, I wouldn't have hesitated. Now, I can do it, I told Mom. One look inside this box, he'll never bother you again. She glanced at the package and seemed to understand immediately. No, Percy, she said, stepping away. You can't. Poseidon called you a queen. I told her. He said he hadn't met a woman like you in 1,000 years. Her cheeks flushed. Percy, you deserve better than this, Mom. You should go to college. Go to college, get your degree. You can write your novel, meet a nice guy, maybe live in a nice house. You don't need to protect me anymore by staying with Gabe. Let me get rid of him. She wiped a tear off her cheek. You sound so much like your father, she said. He offered to stop the tide for me once. He offered to build me a place at the bottom of the sea. He thought he could solve all my problems with a wave of his hand. What's wrong with that? Her multicolored eyes seemed to search inside me. I think you know, Percy. I think you're enough like me to understand. If my life is going to mean anything, I have to live it myself. I can't let a god take care of me or my son. I have to find the courage on my own. Your quest has reminded me of that. We listened to the sound of poker chips and swearing, ESPN from the living room television. I'll leave the box, I said. If he threatens you, she looked pale, but she nodded. Where will you go, Percy? Half-Blood Hill. For the summer or forever? I guess that depends. We locked eyes, and I sensed we had an agreement. We would see how things stood at the end of the summer. She kissed my forehead. You'll be a hero, Percy. You'll be the greatest of all. I took one last look around my bedroom. I had a feeling I'd never see it again. Then I walked with my mother to the front door. Leaving so soon, punk? Gabe called for me. Good riddance. I had one last twinge of doubt. How could I turn down the perfect chance to take revenge on him? I was leaving here without saving my mother. Hey, Sally, he yelled. What about that meatloaf, huh? A steely look of anger flared in my mother's eyes, and I thought, just maybe, I was leaving her in good hands after all. Her own. The meatloaf is coming right up, dear, she told Gabe. Meatloaf surprise. She looked at me and winked. The last thing I saw as the door swung closed was my mother staring at Gabe as if she were contemplating how he would look as a garden statue. Take a moment. Don't close your book because you need this page. Take a moment, and I want you to answer the following questions in writing in your notebook, thinking back to these last couple pages we read from yesterday. What decision did Percy have to make, right? His father told him he was going to have to make a decision. What is that decision? Does he say is the heroic thing to do? And do you think he made the right call? Did he make the right decision here? Find evidence, that means a quote, from the end of chapter 21 that supports your opinion. So take them one at a time. We'll talk about them in a minute. Actually, pause. Let's do this. First, do a turn and talk with the person sitting next to you, and talk about whichever one of these you're not sure about, okay? Take a moment, look at it. And then turn and tell your neighbor, can you two talk to each other? Turn and tell your neighbor really quickly what you think of these answers. We're going to write them down in 1 minute. Go. What do you think? What What you said? Good. So you remember from earlier in the book? Oh. So now that he's not reducing head, what did he decide to do? So did he open the box of tailgate? So can you look back at the text and figure out what decision he made? And what do you think? Is that the right move? Go ahead. Is that the right call?
I don't think that was the right call.
What's in the box? Hold on, what's in the box? What did he decide to do? He's going to go to the snake.
So I think the car.
Do you think you should have done more info? We are tigers. Okay. So now that you've had a chance to talk about it, I want you to take 3 minutes and I want you to write your answers down. What's the decision he has to make? What does he have to decide to do or not? What does he think a hero would do? And do you think he made the right decision? And why? And find some evidence that tells you why he made the right decision or not. Go. 4 minutes. Shh, write clearly.